I'm going to give you the full map of erogenous zones in a woman's body, a full map of her erogenous body. So you don't need to chase Pokemons and get, 3 here and 2 here and, keep looking for them all over the internet. I want to simplify it for you so that it's easy to remember and to use in sex. It's all good to get a few curious and unusual erogenous zones. You can do that as well, but it's much more useful to get the full picture of a woman's body that will work for most women. I'm Alexey Welsh. I've been working with women as a sex coach and a sex therapist for the last 20 years, specializing in female sexuality. So I'm giving you here the data from a lot of different women that I worked with, a lot of different bodies. I'm going to tell you about the most powerful zones first, and then about less powerful later, but you use the less powerful zones in sex first, and you use the most powerful later. It is important to do it this way, and I will explain to you at the end of the video why you need to do it in this reverse order. So what is an erogenous zone? Well, we have 2 Greek words here, eros, genus, sexual, producing. It means it's an area on a woman's body that produces a sexual sensation or a sexual arousal. So by that definition, obviously, the most powerful erogenous zone is the genitals because it creates the strongest sexual sensation. Then the next most powerful erogenous area for a lot of women is the breasts. In the breast, we have kind of 2 erogenous areas, largely speaking. We have the whole space of the breast and we have the nipples. They're quite different. The nipples can behave a little bit like the genitals in that they can create a strong sexual sensation for some women and a strong arousal. Sometimes they can be even orgasmic, but this is only in some women, and in a lot of women it doesn't create a very strong sensation. And then there is the whole breast that is also erogenous for the woman, but in a milder way. It makes you feel sensual, erotic, but not such a kind of strong shooting sexual sensation. So it's really, really important that you have a good technique on the breasts and on the nipples. And you can watch my videos on how to stimulate the nipples and how to touch the breasts. The next most powerful erogenous area is the lips. Women get really turned on by being kissed sensually, erotically, when they're kissed really well. So there are some exceptions. Some women are not into it, but for most women, it is important that you do kissing in the foreplay because that really activates them sexually as well. There is a link that makes them sexually aroused when you are stimulating the lips by kissing. So have a look at my video, how to kiss to turn her on as well. And guys, if you're finding this useful, can you please do me a favor, subscribe to this channel, like this video. It really helps me to promote this content further, to deliver it to guys like yourself. And now we move on to other areas on a woman's body that are erogenous zones. And of course, this is what we classically understand by an erogenous zone. It is an area outside of her genitals, because it's quite obvious that the genitals feel sexual sensations. But when we hear about erogenous zones, we understand that there are other areas on her body that can feel really strong sexual sensations or give her a turn on. We want to understand where those areas are, what to do with them. Now, this is where we have to manage our expectations a little bit. There's been this kind of unrealistic picture in the media that women have these erogenous zones, which are basically super hot buttons somewhere on the body. If you touch them, she's going to get immediately massively turned on and feel a lot of pleasure. And all you've got to do is to touch that area. And it doesn't actually work like this. These areas do exist. They're quite random. They are not very common. Some women have them. A lot of women don't have them. They're quite specific to those women. I will tell you about those areas in the last category later in this video. But actually, most erogenous zones in a woman's body are not like this. They don't work like this. Erogenous zones are not really so super reactive and super hot. They don't give this immediate massive turn on. It's just a place in her body that also feels sexual apart from the genitals. You touch it, it's gonna feel some nice pleasure, it's gonna feel a nice sensation that feels sensual to her, it feels erotic to her, it feels nice to her, and it turns her on a little bit. It's going to be much milder than what she feels in the genitals, but she has a lot of those areas over her whole body, and you are spending time touching those areas. So one touch in one area is not going to do that much, but when you're touching all of them for some time, it gives her a lot of sensations, a lot of sexual feelings, and it arouses her whole body, it activates her whole body. So erogenous zones are not one button, it's a network you're using together. There are multiple access points to her sexual energy, and you're just spending time activating her sexual energy through all of those access points. So where are those areas? Actually, the whole of the woman's body is erogenous. It's one big erogenous zone. You don't need to know kind of particular areas. You can be just touching her anywhere and she will feel it As long as your touch is good, your technique is good, she feels you, she feels that you want her, you're giving her really nice sexual energy, and she's into it. So actually, if you take the whole body from the knee up to the shoulder, all of that can be touched as an erogenous zone. So the outer thighs are really sensitive, the inner thighs, the whole of the bum, under the bum, on top of the bum, that lower back, the whole sides of her body, you can really explore it, she really loves it. All the places around the breasts, above the breasts, to the center, on the side of the breast, below the breast, the lower belly, the neck, the shoulders, all of it is erogenous in that way. It's giving her nice arousing sensations when you're touching it well. The only place I would probably stay away from, just because it's not very reactive, is the center of her body. She tends to feel more on the curves of her body. They're just more erotic for her and they're nicer to touch for you. So if you imagine her like wearing a suit of two halves that's broken in the middle, then just, touch that whole suit. You activate all those erogenous zones with a really good touch technique. You need a really good technique for sexual touch and with the whole body contact. So you're just enveloping her body, then you can be on a lot of her erogenous zones at the same time. So you need a good technique for that. And it's really important that you spend time on all those erogenous zones before you have further sex with her, because this is really, really crucial for a woman to get aroused properly. If you would like really in-depth level on all these areas, check out my online course. I cover all of them in a lot of detail and what exactly to do with them all. Now you can expand that and say that her whole body is erogenous, including her toes, her lower legs, her fingers, and her eyes and everything, and her hair. We have to draw a little bit of a difference between erogenous and pleasant. Something can give a pleasant sensation, but erogenous means that it is arousing her, is giving her a sexual sensation, even if it is mild. So sometimes there's a bit of a confusion. You might be touching something that feels very nice, but it's not necessarily arousing. So if you're doing that, you're actually making a break in her arousal, because it feels nice, but it's not sexual. So for that reason only, I say from the knee to the shoulder, because things like, hair and feet and fingers and arms, they can feel quite arousing for some women, but for other women, they just feel pleasant. They don't necessarily feel sexual as such. And then there are those really kind of curious and very special and unusual erogenous zones. And you can see a lot of content out there that tells you, there's, all those erogenous zones you didn't know about. So some women will have those really reactive, really strong and intense erogenous zones, where if you touch it, it will give her that really massive immediate turn on. It just works for her that way. She's just wired that way, and it just does it for no reason at all. It can be quite random. It could be you sucking on her ear. It could be you sucking on her toes. It could be you touching the inside of her arm. It's going to be like more intense than you touching her boobs. And in a way, like anything in her body can be erogenous like this. This is true, but it's only true for a small number of women, each of those zones. It's not really consistent. It's not reliable for the majority of women. These things, you can never have a map for them. No one can tell you where they are. They're unique to each woman. They are often really random. A lot of women don't have anything like this. Only some women have things like this. There is no way for you to learn about them except to find out from her. One of the two ways. Either you find out accidentally, you're just touching her body and suddenly you feel that she's really into it because you're in a particular place, so you can remember that. Or you just ask her after sex, you say, hey, are there any parts of your body that, really turn you on when you're touched? And she'll tell you. So let me tell you now why I told you that you need to use all these erogenous zones in reverse. Because I've told them to you in the order of the most obvious to less obvious. The reason you need to do it in reverse is because you always need to progress from less powerful erogenous zones to more powerful. This is a better process for her. It builds up sexual energy in her. She needs less powerful erogenous zones, like on the rest of her body, to activate the more powerful ones, like the genitals. If you do it in reverse, it's not going to be nice. She's not going to engage with the genitals and she's not going to enjoy sex that much. So that's it, guys. Enjoy.